papal visit.
We begin with a look at the biggest sports moments and what the stadium has meant to some memorable athletes.
The state of New Jersey plans to build a sports complex.
The idea was first raised in 1967, despite the opposition from environmentalists who said that the complex would speed destruction of the Meadowlands. Ground was broken for Giants Stadium in 1972. On October the 10th, 1976, the Giants played the first game in their new home against the rival Dallas Cowboys.
It was very much electric. There was a lot of anticipation. There was a lot of a lot of excitement.
But for their first 5 years in the stadium, the Giants finished last, never winning more than 6 games.
1978 saw possibly their lowest moment on the final play of the game with Archick, and sure-handed Larry Zonka fumbled a handoff. It was returned for a touchdown by the Eagles' Herman Edwards in what became known in Philadelphia as the Miracle of the Meadowlands.
The Eagles pick it up and Herman Edwards runs it in for a touchdown.
A shakeup of the Giants organization followed. George Young was named general manager and began rebuilding the G-men, drafting the likes of Sims, Taylor, Morris, Banks, and selecting Bill Parcells as coach in 1983.
Don't worry about doing everything perfect now. Just get out there and run like hell and catch it, all right?
Within 2 years, Parcells had the Giants in the playoffs. In 1985, the Giants hosted their first postseason game in 23 years, beating San Francisco.
Sims looks over the middle. He's going end zone. It is complete to the ball. Touchdown.
1986 would be the best in Giants history. En route to winning their first Super Bowl, they demolished the Niners 49-3 in the playoffs, and then beat Washington 17-0 in the NFC Championship.
And Rodgers is stopped.
The most memorable thing for me was back in '86, or when we beat Washington Redskins to win the NFC, the title, and took us to the Super Bowl.
Confetti raining down on us, and it was just a shower of leaflets and screams and supports and cheers and tears, and it was surreal.
After going on to the win in the Super Bowl, the Giants returned home to a huge victory celebration in the Meadowlands.
I have a little something to show you.
The fans were incredible. You couldn't ask for a better set of fans. They were truly the 12th man, and we had the conditions that sometimes played the 13th man.
4 years later, the Giants defeated Chicago 31-3 in a divisional playoff before eventually winning Super Bowl 25. When they won Super Bowl 42 in February of 2008, all 4 postseason wins came on the road.
Play action by Ryan.
The Jets moved to Giants Stadium in 1984, bringing the New York Sack Exchange across the river. In 1985, they retired Joe Namath's number and then made the playoffs for the 3rd time in 5 years, but lost their first postseason game in Giants Stadium to New England.
Unfortunately, we never accomplished our ultimate goal, was to make it to the Super Bowl and win.
In 25 years as co-tenants, the Jets only beat the Giants twice. The first in 1988 saved Joe Walton's job for a year.
We knew the coaching staff was going to be fired, and we went out and we beat the New York Giants the last game of the year, knocked them out of the playoffs, and to us that was our game.
From 1989 through 99, the Jets would have only 2 winning seasons, but opening day of 1993 brought perhaps the stadium's most magical moment, the emotional return to a hero's welcome of Dennis Byrd, who was paralyzed in a game less than a year earlier, and then defied the odds by walking again 2.5 months after the injury.
Very proud to be standing before you here today, and quite frankly, I'm glad to be standing anywhere today.
7 years later, the Jets did the unbelievable on the field, the Monday Night Miracle. They soared back from a 30-7 deficit to score 30 fourth-quarter points and beat Miami in overtime.
Kick away. Jets win.
But Giant Stadium sports has been about much more than the Giants and the Jets. It was home to Donald Trump, Herschel Walker, and the New Jersey Generals.
Rangers got daylight.
It hosted countless college football games, from the annual Kickoff Classic to the Army-Navy game. It was the site of soccer's World Cup. And the greatest soccer player of them all, Pele, played to massive crowds with the Cosmos. For players past and present, they all seem to agree. What's made Giant Stadium unique is the fans.
What makes Giant Stadium so unique is
who fills Giants Stadium. They're cheering for you, they're booing for you, but they're always engaged in what's going on. When you walk into that stadium, you know that you have to play your best.
You know, times have certainly changed since the opening of Giants Stadium in the bicentennial year of 1976, from the price of tickets to the price of hot dogs and beer.
Brenda Flanagan takes us on a journey through the years.
Back in the 1970s, gas cost about 59 cents a gallon. If you went to the movies, the tickets were maybe a couple of bucks. How much do you think it costs to go to a Giants game, get yourself a hot dog, and maybe a couple of beers? Back in those days, just $9 could buy you a fabulous view from up in the nosebleeds. Unfortunately, crowds here didn't have much to cheer about.
People had their tickets, and they're holding their tickets and burning them as a show of disgust because the Giants had lousy teams.
Lifelong Giants fan John Findora was furious as their beloved team tanked.
And I'm sitting there thinking, I would do anything for a ticket.
And that's exactly what John wrote in a letter he fired off to Giants owner Wellington Mara, who wrote back and 1 year later rewarded the faithful Findora with 2 season tickets. The cost?
It was $178, and that was 2 seats for the entire season.
John's got tons of memorabilia, like his Phil Simms jersey. How much did that cost you?
Probably $12. I don't know.
That's a bargain. Now a number 11 jersey runs $129.99. Programs $1 back then, now $5. Park your car, pay $3 then, drop 20 now. And food.
Back those days, you could bring coolers into the game.
People packed picnics and some tailgated in style, but those who did buy stadium fare paid 90 cents for a cold beer. Today it's $8. Hot dogs, historically, 50 cents. Modern dogs bite you for $4.75.
Now, if I come to a game, I'm usually paying $40, $50 for food and drinks during the course of the game.
Rob Moreshi's a second-generation Giants fan. Attending his first game at the stadium left him dazzled.
I kind of fell in love with the place.
He's hoarded every ticket from every game he's ever attended, including that first one in 1995.
I sat in the lower level, I think, section 114, and they were $25 plus tax. And that was only 14 years ago. I end up spending about $300 to come to one game now.
While he and John will grieve the old stadium, they'll pony up for games at the new one. So there's no price that's too high?
No price.
That kind of devotion, priceless.
Ahead on A Giant Farewell, presented by Toyota.
Music at the Meadowlands.
The concerts at Giants Stadium, the stars, the entertainment from Jackson to Joel.
And former Giants quarterback Phil Simms' biggest stadium memories. Russ Salzberg takes to the field with Phil to relive the glory years.